with Wallerman, and right before
St.
St. Anne's and Sunset Avenue, yeah, okay, so we put a little, and one thing builds on another, little steps, but before you know it, the enthusiasm is catching. And what did we do when we put in that Christmas tree? Well, we all got our Santa hats, and we all got council down there, and we put out a thing to the community, come on, you gotta come down, and if, no, we're on to bigger things than that. So, but you know, they're only 24 hours in a day, and you can't, you know, especially at Christmas time, but, you know, it has a wonderful way to bring communities together. And that's something that's, in an era in which we live, there's so much division that we can really make communities work together. But we're on a time frame. You know, we have to have this into on Tuesday to Shebbett's office by Tuesday night. So,
Wednesday the 20th.
you're right, but we have to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
FedEx out on
Yeah.
Tuesday, you know, you know, give the
Just call
pipers,
Joe. Joe will
right?
come out, pick it up.
So, but, you know, so we need to hear from you, whether, it's, you know, you accept the 200,000 or, and if not, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But we think it's an opportunity, you know, to bring together communities and working together to make our individual and our communities a whole better place to live. But, so, you know, we've given you the sum, and I definitely am going to need the weekend to write up a grant, because this grant is pages, but there's no use, you know, spending, you know, time. And all this, if it's really, you know, it doesn't go, and if it doesn't go, it doesn't go. It was just I think I have good vibes that we're going to get the grant.
It was very positive
Yeah,
from Shebbett's office, that they felt pretty strongly that if we submitted it, we'd get a pretty good chance of getting it.
But of all of the things in that compilation of, it's the acquisition and the agreement from Cleves to sell us the 13 and a half or 12 and a half acres for $200,000. And when we have that, then we have the potential to really go for it. And so we hope you agree with us.
So let me ask a couple of things. One of them is going to be about the price tag, which is going to be the elephant in the room. Of course, it's going to be what we discuss. But just for clarity first, what you want us to agree to is that contingent upon you getting the grant, we will sell you at such and such price.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
That's right.
Okay, so you're not asking us to sign a resolution selling you the thing irregardless right now.
That's
No,
correct.
no, absolutely, you're right on target.
Okay, that part's clear, thank you. So then, one more benign question. In what you're going to present in terms of your figures, have you adjusted for the inflation of all these construction costs? Most things cost double now. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but.
Yeah, as far
Several
as,
acres of
I understand like
concrete
building
wall.
a house, you know, the wood packages, right, or my daughter went to go buy, you know, build a house, and 4 months later, the builder came back and said the packages went up 30%. And then they came back another time, and they just decided not to build at all, right? So we're aware of the cost. As far as structures go, we're not really looking to build structures.
The wall sounds like a big deal.
Well, the wall, I'm talking about structures like, you know, buildings. A wall would be whatever the Army Corps of Engineer comes back. We're gonna put a certain amount within our request that we feel, we had an estimate of what it would cost. It was around $3 million. And that was back in 2018, I think, is when we went to the Army Corps of Engineers, 19. So it wasn't too long ago. But, you know, obviously, you know, whenever you're dealing with federal money, they're probably going to make certain requirements of, you know, wages and all those types of things. But we worked with a company that deals with a lot of government entities and getting funding, and this is kind of what they thought from a price. So obviously, we're going to put a number in there that we think is going to do the main things that we want done. If we don't get a wall built, okay, we don't get a wall built. That's a kind of an ask that we would love to see, because I think it would really enhance the site. But if we aren't able to qualify for that, then it would just be kind of the land that goes down into the river, like it does today. Obviously, it will be landscaped a little differently than it is right now, but.
So really just a question about the inflation and what you guys are writing on. So then, in your proposal, are the funds for the property acquisition coming from the federal grant?
Yeah, it'd be coming from the grants.
So that makes my question a little bit more pointed then. Listen, we're gonna be operating off of the information that our property 4 years ago was worth $400,000. You're telling us 200,000. One of the questions is, how did you arrive at that? Is there something about the grant that's restricting it to that number? Or else, how do we responsibly say, like, and I should make
Wait, yeah, I understand what you're asking.
important caveat here. I see all the opportunity, I salute the vision, I'm so for it, but how can I say, okay, we have something that we think is worth 400,000,
And that's.
why should we take 200,000?
And that's for you to decide. You know, we arrived at that because you can only ask for so much, and we put in the infrastructure of the land, you know. So acquisition was one thing, but we also were hoping to get the wall, but if we don't get the wall, we need to have that infrastructure there. And, you know, as I said, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and we'll go on to something else.
Yeah, quite honestly, it's, you know, the less you have to pay for the acquisition, the more you have for other things,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so, you know, we put a number out there, we felt like, okay, it might not be what an appraiser came out and said it's worth, but it is limited use. I think the deed even says it only can be used kind of as a park, it can't be used for other things. So I didn't know if your appraiser was aware of those types of things, but at the end of the day, we're not looking to make money. If it was something where, hey, we're gonna build this big high rises, I could understand exactly, you probably want more than the appraised value. What we're trying to do is do something that's good for the whole community, not necessarily putting money in the Village of North Bend's pockets. We're trying to have as little costs that we have, that we can make to develop this, to make it happen. You know, obviously, you know, we asked for $100 million, probably ain't gonna give us $100 million, right? And so if they give us $100 million, yeah, we'll give you the $500,000, you know, why not? But,
So what I would try to persuade you is to get closer to our 400,000, because essentially your argument boils down to, that 200,000 is going to be better spent on some other improvement. That's in the context of, you said phase one was $6 million, and 20% of that is not slush fund, but whatever, contingency. And so, that's 1.2 million right there. So, you know, at the outset here, I don't know how I'm going to gain information other than our estimate that exists. So,
And that's
if you're
fine.
asking me that, you're saying, okay, you need to take a $200,000 hit for no known reason, because the funds are coming from the feds themselves. So what is the boundary? What is that critical 200,000 that you write it into, you know, some other enhancement of the property rather than 200,000 to give Cleves the, you know, what I deem a responsible number for our property?
Well, you know, I've been dealing with grants, and when you write a grant, they're always gonna whittle it down. I mean, I've written grants, and they'll say, well, we couldn't give you all of it, but this is what we can give you. And so we go back and say, okay, that was, you know, that's fine. And don't underestimate the opportunities with little grants. A grant for $2,500, like for the railroad agreement, that was fine, and it enabled us to build on it. But we can only ask for so much money, and we're not trying to cheat you out of any money. We're just looking at a piece of property that we think has the ability to really enhance that area. Right now, I don't know, I don't see any enhancement for it. How much are you getting off of that? I mean, do you have a big lease that maybe we don't know about a lease or something?
Well, we get $5,000 a year from the boat club, plus a 5% increase every year.
Okay, so you're satisfied. Well, you know, as I said, nothing ventured, nothing gained. If we don't hear from you at noon on Friday, we'll take that for a no. If we do hear from you, we hope it's a yes. But I've got only so much time to write this grant. And it's gonna take Saturday, Sunday, all day with Marilyn on Monday, and get it off to, you know, on Tuesday. But what we don't wanna do, we wanna have all our i's dotted and our t's crossed. And if, you know, 200,000 isn't to your liking, then we wish you well, to find that, you know, maybe there's somebody else out there who would be willing to pay you $400,000, but that's our limit. So, but we thank you for your time.
I have something to say about that $400,000, because I noticed on the appraisal mentioned it was encumbered by the MSD. I don't know what that means exactly. Anybody know enough about real estate?
Well, the MSD,
They have to have access to their land.
there are plants on that property, on the property.
That
Right,
didn't
but the
include the
wording
value,
covers
that didn't
kind of-
include the value of the treatment facility, that just included the property around it, excluding the MSD, because they couldn't put a value on that because it's a utility.
But I think it wouldn't it be like having a piece of property next to a dump or something? I mean, if it says like, properties encumbered by the MSD, it would decrease the value instead of increase it, right?
Well, that appraisal, I don't know if you read through the whole 60-page appraisal or whatever, but that took that into consideration. And comparable sales in that area were 40 or 45,000 per acre. So that took into consideration the proximity of the.
Yeah,
treatment
and the
facility.
big difference, obviously, that, other sales would be probably for home developments and those other things, it wouldn't be for a park. So typically,
You know, this is the paper.
I would say for a park, you probably, that's just my guesstimate, it would be less per acre. If you're not gonna put anything on there to kind of get a big return on your money. We're not looking to get any return on this investment. As far as, hey, we're gonna put 200,000, we're gonna get $600,000 back, like you do when you buy stocks or what have you, right? You're looking for a return on your investment. We're looking for a return on investment to the community, right? We're trying to make this a place where the community can utilize it on a daily basis. It can be utilized by outside resources like schools, outdoor, things I mentioned. So, what part of my argument, back to you, Kevin, is, okay, if you do not, I can say whatever something's worth, but would anybody else ever come in and pay $400,000 for the property? If it's restricted like it is now, to a floodplain, can it only be used as a park, from what I understand the deed restrictions are. So with those types of restrictions, is anybody gonna come in and pay $400,000 and do what with it, right? And that's the issue I had with the appraisal is, okay, what are they, if they're doing comps for real estate, for housing, it's not comparable because it can't be used for that. So that's my argument. I think $200,000 is a fair number. It's not the number that you guys had appraised for. I understand that. I understand you gotta answer to constituents just like I do. And why did you take this deal? Obviously, hopefully what we've said today, will, if your citizens see this on YouTube or wherever you guys are promoting it, that they can hear what we said and the reason why you guys made this decision. If someone comes back and says, why did you do this? This was, the way I would say is, we're looking at this from a holistic perspective. Yes, we have an asset. What did we pay for it? $1, right? We had $200,000 back on it, and it's gonna enhance this community with that, investment. So that's the way I would take it, if a constituent came to me and asked me, why'd you make this deal? So.
And Mayor, if this comes up for council, doing a joint project between the two villages is not an option. Is that correct?
The joint project, what I would say to you is, we would work with you on what you eventually want this to look like, right?
I mean,
Because you sold us the property, so we're not gonna say, well, you sold us the property, now get out of the
well, I
way.
mean, applying for the grant jointly.
I would say right now, because it's due on the 20th, it's very short term. If we had a month and a half, I would say, yeah, let's go join it. Because as you know, when you have going as communities, I think if we went in with Miami Township and yourselves, it would make it better than just one. But I think with what my discussions have been with Shabbat's office, and he knows I've been pushing him for this for a while, I think he's on board with it, and he feels pretty confident that this will get done. So.
They're also pretty liberal in throwing out extensions, but I guess this isn't an option for this, so.
Nope, it's due on the 20th, they said,
5 o'clock, on the 20th.
So we're just trying to,
We're trying to take advantage of an
Yeah.
opportunity that has come our way, and given the financial situation of our country, I'm not sure it will ever come again. But it looks promising. Many years ago, when I was a new council person, I met with Steve Shabbat, and I told him that we really wanted to open up, Harrison's tomb, and had, dreams of opening up the river. And this was before Doug came on, or maybe 2 years later, and all of a sudden this everybody said, you know, we really have to do this, but Steve Shabbat quote unquote said, oh, this is a walk in the park. I've reminded, you know, Congressman Shabbat of that many times, that the walk in
Should've taped it.
the walk in the park has taken it's been a long journey. And, so we're hoping that, to wrap things up, we have good vibes, we've done our homework, we've taken little steps, sometimes, bigger steps, and now this is a big step, but, we look forward to having you, you know, discuss it. Our modus operandi is, just purely aesthetic, it's not financial for the Village of North Bend. I don't think we've ever discussed having any, you know, getting any monies back, and so it's what we can do to enhance this western northern bend of the city, which nobody seems to know
County, we
anything.
don't include the city.
Well, of the
County.
county, that nobody seems to know that it even exists, but we do, so.
But I mean, it could be though, I mean, because you could do whatever you wanted with the property afterwards, you know, after.
Well, no, if the grant we request has gotta be used for the purpose that we asked
Well,
for.
just saying that you could make money off of it in some fashion, depending on what your visions or where it transitions down the road. I mean, I understand what Kevin is saying and questioning and everything. Would you be willing, if you're not using all of the property, less acreage, you know, than all 13? Just for what you're utilizing in the plans? Or is there a reason for the whole and not?
Yeah, I mean, part at the end of the day, the interpretive center is gonna take up a certain amount of the area. Obviously, the park, we wanna make it as big as possible, right? So that you have as much open space and playground area and those types of things, right? So you wanna try to utilize, you know, the majority of it that you can utilize. You need area for parking, right? So that's gonna be basically just, where cars are gonna go, it's not even gonna be utilized for, you know, playground area, what have you. So you're taking up a certain portion of it just because of parking, right? So, you guys, I make the pledge to you today that if you go in with us on this, we will work with you on what this is all gonna end up looking like and how it's gonna be managed. If there is an opportunity to make, you know, I've thought about running a 5K, and call it the Tomb Run. Start at Harrison's Tomb and have them go up that hill. Go up Cliff Road, see if you survive.
It'd be a tomb, it could be a tomb, right?
It would be a tomb run. So there's things that you can do if you have all this, because then all the runners could go down to the park. And there's all, I mean, it's a problem when you ask your wife and your kids all kinds of ideas, and they throw tons of ideas at you, and like, you know, I was thinking, you need to do this first before. But we would love to work with you guys on whatever it can do to make this area better. You guys are invested in it. You want greater investment in your community. I know you're trying to, you know, have that area developed across from the school as far as businesses coming in, and that's gonna be additional revenue for the Village of Cleves, so, you know, I get it. And so if there's additional revenue opportunities that we can we'll share. And if you wanna have that as a separate agreement, we'll be more than glad to work with you on that. And you got a tape that's telling you right now, this is what I said to you, so, I don't think any of my council members would fight me on that at all, so.
When
Right,
is your
Fran?
meeting with Steve Shabbat's office? When is your meeting?
It's not a meeting, it's not a meeting.
It's not a
They
meeting?
sent us,
Yeah.
2 weeks, 10 days ago, an opportunity, for, you know, this grant. And, they said it had to be a very narrow window. Were we interested? And of course, Mayor Sammons said, yes, we are interested. And, we began plugging things in and going back to other grants that we had and answering all the questions and trying our best to pull it all together. But the bottom line is that we have to have that document for $200,000.
As part of our package,
As part of our
too.
package. That will be the letter on top, because that's what they're gonna look at first.
And you're gonna deliver it to Steve Shabbat's
Yeah.
office?
Well,
Well,
we're not
when
gonna
you-
hand deliver, but it will go
Well, I
FedEx
might have-
Express.
I don't know
Well,
if
that's
anything's going
fine.
on right now.
Okay, well, whatever, yes, because, but we have to know by Friday, at noon. And, so, you know, you just have to call Mayor Sammons.
12 is,
Yeah, but,
end of day Friday.
well, you know, you're chipping away at
End of
Marilyn
day
and me.
Friday, end of day Friday.
Okay, you hire Marilyn on Saturday, cause I'll need her.
I'll bring her in.
Because, we only have a couple of days to get this done,
Yeah.
and, it has to go out on Tuesday. So, that's it, you know, and if you decide otherwise, you know, no hurt feelings. We tried it, it didn't work, so be it.
And if you have any additional questions that come up,
Sure.
you know, please feel free, you know, Mike's got my email address, we've communicated in the past. Let me know if there's any questions that you still need answered that we weren't able to answer today, so.
I wanna re-ask this. Is there some reason, you keep making the assertion, it has to be that document that we're selling it for $200,000. Is there some reason other than your judgment, like, is there something prescripted that has to be the number?
Like I said, I mean, that was a number we felt was fair, for
Have
the
you already
property.
passed a resolution or anything?
But
that's
we didn't,
restricted?
no, we haven't passed anything yet because nothing has happened yet, right? Nothing, has transpired between us, nothing has transpired between us and sending the Shabbos office. This is all prep work that we're doing. And so, you know, part of what our ask is gonna be, you know, to, Shabbos office is this is our budget, this is what we wanna get done, and this is what we have to do, and this is what we're gonna spend money on, right? And so we felt that 200,000 was a fair number, based on what we're doing with the property. We're not obviously making it to where it's gonna be a big money revenue generator. It's probably gonna be a cost to us, quite honestly, to
It's
maintain
already
it.
been a
And-
cost.
The
Trust me.
200,000 is part of the proposal to come from the money from the government, not coming out of
That's right.
North
So,
Bend general.
yes, that we've heard the request that we're making of the government to help acquire the property. So, I mean,
So you're saying
That-
you could increase it from 200 to 400 in the.
I have not yet heard the case.
And you know what?
I don't know what you're, I mean, I don't know what you're asking for. You know, why are we not offering 400,000? Why are we not offering 600,000? We felt like the fair price for that property, for what it's gonna be used for, we think $200,000 is fair price.
And that's not negotiable. I think what
It's-
Kevin's
it's-
getting
I
at is
understand.
that
No, and we understand that.
If you come back and say,
We're not
hey,
trying to cheat you or anything, we're just saying that we have an opportunity. We're trying to make our figures line up and with what would get the job done. And $200,000 is a lot of money. We felt like it was fair for a park. But if you don't think so, listen, on Friday, I've got Easter weekend ahead of me, and that's fine. I understand that. I've been in administration a long time. And you don't have to take it. I know her feelings, but we're here, we tried, and, you know, that's it. It's nothing ventured, nothing gained.
The reason I was asking about the Steve Shabbat meeting is why couldn't we send our people from Cleves to
Well,
Steve
you
Shabbat's
go, you know,
office?
if you pay for the 200,000.
No, but I mean, like, why couldn't we all get together for a meeting?
well, it's not a meeting.
It's not a meeting, it's just
We're
a
responding to a request, an earmark. They call them earmarks. And they're saying they can get up to 15 requests from their communities of projects that they want to get done, that they would want the federal government to help fund. So they
And
said,
Steve
they gave us a report, they basically gave us the requirements and what we have, how we need to answer certain questions, and put together, you know, what the project is, what it will cost, what you're gonna be spending the money on, all those types of things.
Do
It's
those-
not a meeting per se. I mean, I've already had the meetings with Shabbat. He knows what we're trying to do.
But as far as what Mike was saying, could we somehow go in together on a grant?
If you wanna come write the grant all Saturday, Sunday, Monday, no, I've got half of it. I mean, I have an opportunity to go to the races on Saturday, but I mean, I've got to afford, but if, you know, so, I mean, I think we're making a bigger issue out of this than it really needs to be. It's a very simple issue of, we feel like $200,000 is a fair price. And it will really enhance, you know, this area. And the potential for that enhancement is ongoing. But if you don't want that, that's fine with us. You know, we'll step back and take a look at other grants and where they're needed, you know, to buy a building that we have we've been discussing and whatnot, so it's not a problem with us.
If you have any other questions, just let us know. Appreciate the time you guys have given us today.
Happy
And,
Easter, everybody.
Yeah, good luck with everything.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Come in.
Take care. Thank